Hello, my name is Samira. Welcome to our economic channel, Max Economics. Socialism was built on utopian promises of a better and egalitarian life. But it's enough to briefly analyze the history of the Eastern European countries to see that socialism failed in most economic aspects. One of the most disastrous reforms implemented in the communist countries was the state-owned farms, the kolkhozes. The kolkhoz was a collective farm in communist countries. If we analyze the kolkhoz through its size and access to physical and human capital, it would seem to be a superior form of economic organization, compared to the family-owned farms. After Second World War, the small farmers in Eastern Europe owned small pieces of land, of 2 to 3 acres and maybe a few cattle, and had large families. Clearly, their productivity was low and unsustainable, even if they would have continued to live in market economies. The communists seized their land, cattle, capital and put them together to create these collective farms. In a market economy, these collective farms could have been successful. Forming large farmable plots, raising the animals in productive ways, and specializing the farmers in particular parts of the agricultural processes, together with the economies of scale, work automation and higher yields could have all transformed the kolkhozes into big successes. This was not the case in the communist world, where the result was a big failure. Looking at the collective farms from the free world and the communist states, the results seem to be similar. In both cases we have facilities that should have provided greater productivity. In reality, there were a few critical differences that contributed to the failure of the communist farms. They were created by force and were not the results of free association. The initial owners of the land were not motivated with a share of the profits. Although unmotivated, the initial owners are asked to work the land for the common interest. To build the kolkhozes, the communist states took the land by force, and those that opposed were convicted to serve in camps of forced labor. Many of them died in political prisons. Others obeyed the new conditions of the regime to save their lives. Of course, stripping the owners of their rights and then asking them to work in the farms built with their propriety was not the smartest move. The past owners joined the new farms and learned to mimic work as a way of protest. The results of the communist initiative were strange. Each kolkhoz was formed of old farmers that learned to mimic work, so the human productivity decreased, but this was partially compensated by introducing mechanical agricultural machinery. Also, most of the kolkhoz workers felt that they deserve a share of the results, due to their past ownership of the land. To get what they deserved, some of them began stealing from the farm. The kolkhoz was seen as an unethical farm, and it is no wonder that it failed as an economic organization. The members of the kolkhozes hated them so much that the system crumbled in pieces after the fall of the Iron Curtain. 30 years have passed and, in countries like Romania, small farmers are still looking with suspicion at the proposals for the formation of agricultural associations. It is clear why this country has the most small farms in the EU. Unfortunately, the vast majority of farms in Romania have a few acres and are economically inefficient. That's about it for today. Thank you for watching and don't forget to subscribe to our channel.